Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, guys, very quickly, I want to elucidate on there was quite a few things laid out in the document, Science PDF, and quite a few of the videos I made reference to birds in wholesale numbers washing up ashore. Now, there's something else through the research. I mean, not all of them. I mean, they're not absolutes. Nothing is anyway, and Allah Subhanahu wa Taala always knows best. But through the research, I've come across a certain thing, and I think that there might be a connection between that and what we're witnessing worldwide with all these. I mean, it's wholesale numbers of birds from all sorts of species just falling from the skies, absolutely perfect and immaculate in condition, yet they're falling to the ground. Now you see exactly what I'm going with this in a moment. Just bear with me. Let me show you first of all this little clip.
Breaking news at 5 and a disconcerting sight. Dead birds falling out of the sky. I'm David Wade.
I'm Lisa Hughes. The bodies of as many as 40 birds fell to the ground, and investigators are trying to figure out quickly what is going on.
We got starting to get complaints about literally birds falling out of the sky.
Birds, specifically grackles, dozens of them like this one, littered the sidewalks and lawns on Bakersfield Street today.
I think we had 46 was the total number. I'm not sure what the mortality was with those. All those were taken. Some of them have got revived, but close to 40 dead.
And it wasn't just that species of bird that was overcome. One resident's cat also fell ill and had to be euthanized.
Okay, so I mean, there's a lot of misdirection going on, and that's generally the case anyway. They've got departments set up for that, right? These are all psyops, and they're basically trying to allude to like these. I mean, it's everywhere. It's happening everywhere. There's a common thread, and that's alluding towards the end of times. And a lot of it is basically targeted towards the Christian demographic. Right, they're creating these divisions. They're doing that with Donald Trump right now. Donald Trump he's seen a lot of support by the Christian faithful, the masses, and we're talking about the country being split into half over here. Literally half, 50% of the states are Christian believers, right, and then the other 50% are a mix of all sorts from they range from atheists to transgender to the homosexual demographic, and it continues basically. But it's a massive divide between the religious faithful and then the other, and mostly the religious faithful is of the Christian demographic. Now, what they're doing is targeting that is a huge swath of the population, and they're targeting that with their religious beliefs, and they're basically pulling their heartstrings with that. So I mean, these sort of things that are happening and these birds falling in the sky, there's a perfectly scientific explanation for that, and everything that I've explained in the PDF is generally scientific. Everything laid out in it. There's no like Subhanallah, and if where it can't be explained scientifically, then Subhanallah, Islam elucidates on it, and there we basically stop, because even in the face of science, Islam is an absolute, and science we disregard, and alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, that's 101% the truth. Now, and then sometimes you find that science basically augments and supports, and the claims being made in the Quran, stuff in the Quran, subhanallah, it's 101% correct and accurate. But you'll find that science later on comes and affirms that, and sometimes they'll come back again and disagree with it. But we take anything that they put forward which contradicts our Quran and Sunnah with a pinch of salt. In fact, we disregard it. That's exactly what Islam requires us to do. But in this particular video, what I'm trying to allude to is them using certain technology in order to convince the faithful masses that these are actual signs for the impending arrival of the Masih Dajjal. Lanatullahi alayh. So they're doing this, they're staging these things like the clouds, the formation tech that they're using, or the holographic technology that they're using, and you see them depicting signs of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, then the signs of this all-seeing eye, and then you'll see others, papers like Israel pushing this whole selecting a high priest for the Temple of Solomon, which they're anticipating is going to be done soon. Then this whole agenda to push well, again, you got the island drying up in the Galilee waters, and they're alluding that these are signs for the coming of their Messiah. We understand that will be the Antichrist. So there seems to be some sort of a drum roll, almost like they're up in the ante in terms of psyops for the masses, right? To anticipate this arrival and some big changes to happen. I mean, it lends itself to predictive programming, and it seems to be happening on a huge scale. And you can connect the dots if you look at the media, the news, and everything that they're regurgitating. For most of us who are vibrating on a very shallow level, they're basically poor people. They digest this, right? They take it as a gospel, as the truth, and they start marrying it with their beliefs, right? And they're exploiting their beliefs, their emotions, and some of that was again alluded to in the video that we uploaded and shared on the extraterrestrial contact being staged, and how they actually use the public psyche, and how they create these little psyops and support certain fringe groups who are basically occultic in their kind of doctrines and beliefs. Like, for example, these spiritual movements, i.e., about surrounding the crop circles, and how they believe that they've got these benevolent beings and who are trying to communicate with mankind, and will soon follow with a disclosure to all of mankind that extraterrestrial life exists, and they're basically our masters, as it were. So it seems like everything's pointing in that direction. Let me move on from there, and you'll see exactly where I'm going with this. Now, this dead bird phenomena hasn't just been happening, right now. It's been going on for a long time, and I mean wholesale numbers. Over here, 7th of August, right? You've got dozens of birds, 60 dead birds falling from the sky. Okay, and this is totally different from the video that I showed you. Over here, you got 300 dead birds covered by the Daily Mail on the 13th of January 2011. Over here, you got lucky escape as dead birds warn toxic slurry fume. So they blame all sorts of nonsense, right? Over here, you got why did thousands of birds drop dead in Arkansas? This is thousands, by the way, 3rd of January, right? And then the CNN covers it, and it continues. It continues. Dead birds, blackbirds, 1st of January 2012. All right? There's a common thread over here. I mean, literally lots and lots of birds, and I don't think they've even covered most of it, right? Where they basically refer to all these findings. Anyway, research it yourselves and you see. Now, what I'm pointing towards is basically them using the technology to do this, and then lulling the masses into believing that, subhanAllah, look at this. I mean, it just continues, doesn't it? Who's killing Tweety? Right? A cat dropped mysteriously dead. Okay, 1st of January. Okay, mysterious dozens of dead birds. Okay, Bible verses, dead birds falling from the sky. Do you see? Subhanallah. Now, I just stumbled across this with you guys. But do you see how they're using Christianity and then using their technology, and that way they're lulling the masses into believing that these are the end of times, and so that they can anticipate the arrival of Isa alayhi salam. But we understand that Isa alayhi salam, before Isa alayhi salam, it's the Antichrist who's going to arrive. So they're setting the stage for the Antichrist, right? And over here, it basically makes a connection with the Bible and what it says about birds falling from the sky, right? So again, I mean, this is exactly where it's going, and this is a huge psyop again, along with these other psyops that I've been referring to, right? That they're using against the masses. Now, the technology that I'm thinking that they're most likely using, by the way, is energy. I'm doing this for the first time, by the way, so I mean, I could be totally wrong. Allahu alam. Okay, directional energy weapons are ready, right? So I think they're testing these weapons, by the way, and it's almost like a microwave technology, where they use these certain waves Okay, I can't, for one reason or the other, I can't open the link. Okay, Marine Corps steps ahead with the enemy with new lighter surveillance sensors. No, we're not going to refer to that. Where's the directed energy weapons? Okay, directed, let's do directed. Directed energy weapons, hopefully we'll be able to. Cold War laser hype. US Navy reveals into futuristic top-wing destroyer, Marine. Okay, well, it's worthwhile looking into anyway. I mean, if you guys can find it for one reason or the other. Okay, the weapon that emits focused energy and can transfer that energy to damage a target is termed as directed energy weapons. Okay, the directed energy weapons market is known to generate extremely powerful beams. They mainly use single optical systems in order to track a target or simply focus it on a target. Lasers are considered to be the most mature type of DEW weapon. Moreover, these beams can be easily redirected by mirrors to damage the targets that are not visible from source. The growing need for laser, especially the Navy regulations and legal impacts of DEW and growth, directed energy weapons market. Moreover, need for precision. It goes on. Look it up, study it yourself. But this weaponry exists, and they're almost like using masks. And these masks have been put up in all developed countries. I think they're going to use this weaponry to a certain extent when they stage this the World War and started and instigated with the economic collapse. I think martial law will be enacted in Europe. First and foremost in the States, they'll start it there, and these masks will be used for those people that they're trying to basically control and coerce against them. It'll be military weapons in the hands of the elite. They're basically literally masks. It's not difficult to conceive. I mean, you can actually make one. I mean, there's a Russian guy. Let me look it up actually to show you microwave weapon. Let's say microwave. Okay, so I mean, again, I'm just, this is me just going with the flow, but look at this guy. He's made this.
Today, I'm going to show how dangerous UHF microwaves are.
Did you see what he was just doing there? Subhanallah.
The power of UHF microwaves really impresses me. Just try to imagine, one microwave oven can produce as much radiation as 10,000 Wi-Fi routers, 5,000 cell phones, or 30 cell phone towers can do. In order to prevent this power from breaking out of microwave ovens, there are metal double protection shields in microwaves. I want to warn you that UHF radiation can harm your health. Microwave ovens' high voltage can be deadly, but it won't stop me. Having lifted the microwave ovens back up, we can see a big transformer. It increases.
Now this again comes from the military. I guess these guys are veterans. They understand what sort of technology. They've been very high up. Now they're retired, and they're basically looking into all these anomalies, and they understand the sort of elitists who are actually running everything. I mean, after so many years, you can only be like lulled into the nonsense so many times. I mean, once bitten, twice shy. And they alhamdulillah, they're very educated individuals, and they basically allude towards all these things. And alhamdulillah, I've got, I guess it's instinctively, I just have to research things and look it up. And
voltage up to 2,000
it seems like they're using this sort of technology right now and trying it on these birds and animals, and then when they fall to the ground, there's not much. They're just explaining it away as these are biblical signs of things to come. So it's like it reinforces the Christian faith and their belief, right? But what's going to happen is when it's going to be followed by these sort of man-made signs, manufactured ones, they'll easily accept Dajjal as he arrives, right?
In order to supply the magneton with electricity, which turns
Let's
in the
move
right
on.
direction.
I'll let you guys read it, but I just want you to see it in
TV and
action.
mini center
Look
were
at it.
making strange roaring sounds.
Now, you
Your
can't
cell
see-
phone withstands radiation.
You can't see any beams coming out of this. It's just radiation, right? It's a directed energy, right? So look at what it does, though. And these masts have been put up everywhere. I think in the UK, I'm sure, but at least certainly in the States, right? They look very similar to the telephone mast that you get, right? And they can target. They can point and target this energy towards anything. I mean, this technology even exists in the military. I'll show you that in a second.
Get ready.
Did you see that? No beams came out. It's just radiation, right? Yeah. So I mean, we believe that on some level or the other, something very similar is being used, right? Which is causing these birds in wholesale numbers to fall from the skies. Now, if you take a look at this, okay,
which dramatically exceeds health standards and can easily cause pinpoint burns. This is what it seems.
Okay, let's take a look at it on.
And streaks of red. It changes. Because it's coming from that direction. When I turn it around the other way, you don't get it. No. But that's where he's firing. And he said...
Let's take another look. The effect is noticed conversation.
The other way, you don't get it.
As well as special secure safe houses to better help TIs.
Okay,
That's
guys, you can look this up. I can't seem to find it on here. I don't want to waste any more of your time. But I mean, there you go. So I mean, it seems to be a plausible explanation for that sort of technology. We'll talk about holographics and something like that. Maybe I'll add that up later on. Again, it's just to augment and support these claims, and you can scientifically see. Because I mean, you know, it's we don't want to basically tell people that. I mean, these claims need to be backed up, and we need to at least have some sort of a firm grip of these. A level of understanding of the sort of technology that's available to these guys and what they can use against the Ummah. You know, what we see conventionally isn't necessarily what's out there. There's a lot more than that. Yeah, and most of it has been reserved for, there you go, directed energy weapons, for Dajjal, as far as I'm concerned. You know, for Dajjal, as far as I'm concerned. You know, this is what it's been reserved for, and you know, he'll be able to pull all these feats off as a result
Lawrence Livermore National
Lab sort of technology.
Reality.
Okay, there you go. And take a look at this.
Motion.
This is what I was referring
The
to.
Katyusha takes off at a
Look at
speed
this.
of
Now this is a missile flying.
760
It doesn't need
miles per
another
hour.
missile. Right?
After the radar,
Now they show us Korea having developed missiles and stuff like that and having this defense system when already this sort of technology exists where it doesn't require. Now conventionally people on the ground like myself would believe that, oh, you need another missile defense system in order to attack an incoming missile. But no, the technology exists which they won't even tell us about. Right, where they just direct these energy weapons at or whatever it is incoming or whatever it is they're looking to destroy, and
locks on, you can see the high-powered laser illuminate the warhead. The temperature of the laser beam is over 1200 degrees Fahrenheit. On contact, the laser starts to heat up the quarter-inch thick rocket casing. Within a second, the rocket is destroyed.
there you go. Without having
Death
anything.
and destruction at the speed of light.
The typical shot.
So I mean, all the nonsense that we see around the globe right now. Again, I was talking about the thesis and the antithesis. So you've got the West, and then you've got everyone else on the other side, which would include mainly Iran, Turkey, Russia, China, and other countries, which will be on the flip side. This is all, as far as I'm concerned, a Hegelian dialectic that's playing out, where they've created this thesis and antithesis. So you've got a false evil and a false good, depending on what side of the Atlantic you're on or what side of the fence you're on. Right? You'd buy the narrative that your side is a good side, which is always what you're going to buy into. Right? But the reality is, from the top, it's been staged that way. It's a very, very huge plan. And it's been staged that way so that the Ummah buys into it and believes that what's happening is a natural occurrence of all the tension between these countries. But all of that tension has been designed from the top. I mean, these leaders, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not aware of one, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, that is basically not part of this structure, willingly or has been coerced into it. But at any rate, there is a structure and everyone is falling in line. Like I said, the technology already exists in order to battle and combat these sort of incoming missiles before they even cross any sort of borders. It's just literally pointing and homing in on that particular missile and directing certain laser weapons or energy weapons at them, and that's it, they're destroyed. But they want you to buy into this whole thing that we need this. They use fear, they always have done. They use fear, and they'll get the public and the masses to buy into this whole thing and invest in it, and then they'll take in taxes billions of your dollars, when in fact technology already exists. We don't need a defense system that's elaborate with nukes in it. But they want to use those nukes, right? They're going to use them when this whole fallout happens, so that they can meet the agenda that they've drafted out. But already we don't need to spend so much money on defending defense systems, simply because the systems and the weaponry already exist. So I mean, again, you've got to take everything with a pinch of salt. What's happening right now, as far as I'm concerned, with Putin and the attempted assassination, that again is another Hegelian dialectic. So it's a smaller model where basically it's Putin against America, America trying to assassinate him. As far as I'm concerned, they're clinking champagne glasses at the top together. That's Putin and Obama, and then they've got their masters who are pulling their strings right from the top, and they're part of the same structure. But it's a soap opera for the masses, for people like you and me on the ground to buy into. I mean, if they wanted to kill Putin, then you've seen the sort of technology they've already got. If they can penetrate nuclear missiles and their thick steel walls, right, and blow them up midair, then they can very easily direct energy weapons towards Putin. And there's been several opportunities for them to kill anyone that they want. But because it's part of the structure and they're integral to leading the flocks and the masses in a certain direction, right? They play this this little game. It's a soap opera and nothing else. It's just a script unfolding for the masses to buy into. And I think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. My position is still the same as I held about the president of Turkey, Erdogan, that part of the same structure. This whole coup, military coup, was for the masses, to lull them in, to do away with I guess opposing parties within the country as well, to just establish a firmer grip, and then to lead us potentially in a certain direction, and the Muslim masses. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. But this is why I've always maintained that we kind of be a bit cautious. We don't want the Muslims to be led. I mean, look, go back to Albert Pike's letter to Mazzini on all of the 3 world wars, and you'll find out, also study on Albert Pike, and you'll learn that he was the 33-degree Mason. He was a Grand Master, actually, and revered in Masonry to extents that are like just mind-blowing. You know, they consider him, well, there you go, the title given to him was a Grand Master, so he wasn't just a 33-degree Mason, but he was high up there. And he ran the military arm in the States for Masonry. But they etched out a plan, and in that plan you'll see how they've basically set up a Hegelian dialectic in the Third World War, which is the nuclear war we understand. Read what he's got to say in that letter to Mazzini, and in that very clearly he states that we'll basically set up the Muslims against the Christians, right? So I mean, again, you know, these leaders of ours can be used to lull us into like a bloodbath, a wholesale one. You know, so Muslims have to, we need to tune into our philosophy. You know, we need to start thinking outside of the box. We need to see that, yes, potentially we can have the wool pulled over our eyes. We need to humble ourselves. You know, the moment we humble ourselves to that and understand that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can reveal, you know, the truth to us, you know, and we don't rely and depend on our intellect so much, but, you know, find ourselves humbling, subhanallah. When we do that, we humble ourselves, then, you know, the truths will reveal themselves, you know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will realign us to our firasa, and we'll start seeing the world differently. Again, we won't see it in kaleidoscopic eyes, and we'll start looking at things differently, and subhanallah, maybe see that things may be not what they are as they tell us, at least the mainstream tells us as they are. You know, sadly, we turn to these sources for absolutes when in fact they're basically all just psyops and tie into the same thing. And as far as I'm concerned, Shaitan is pulling the strings, and he's got his puppets doing his bidding for him, and that branches out into all sectors all over the world and in everything else. Again, I'll maybe try and elucidate my understanding anyway. And like I said, what I'm saying aren't absolutes. Please do your research and find out for yourselves and see exactly where that takes you. But we'll see if we can explore holographic technology a bit more as well. Please do your own research from here onwards on the topics that I do, because I mean I don't want you to accept them as absolutes. I want you to go on your journey and find out exactly what you think is and isn't. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always knows best. Jazakallahu khairan wa ahsanu jaza for your time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.